Rivers being chased, thrown on the run, and it is caught. Touchdown, Keenan Allen. What a grab.
That's what I'm talking about. Hey, that's what I'm talking about. That's the warrior spirit right there, boy.
Huge sack by Joey Bosa.
90-yard touchdown. 90-yard touchdown.
It's going to be picked off at the 8-yard line by Derwin James.
Herbert sets his feet, takes a shot downfield, has Guyton. Caught! Touchdown, Chargers!
That's the greatest throw I've ever seen.
Yeah, what's going on, Bolt fam? Welcome all to the Thunder Down Under Chargers podcast. Andy Prophet here with my great mates and co-hosts Jack Reed and Alistair Lloyd. Boys, the draft is a week away. Kevin Costner and Jennifer Garner, they're going to get a run on the telly for me, that's for sure.
Great film.
Traditional style. Now, before we get into the show, from the TDU family here and extending out, we have some absolutely fantastic, incredible, awesome news. Our very own Jack Reed and his lovely fiancée Rebecca, they're going to be parents!
Congrats, mate.
Thanks, mate. Thank you
Got
very much.
no doubt, very long, beautiful, lovely girl coming, and we're all very, very excited. So, yeah, that's been the good news for our off season. Jack, how are you feeling about becoming a dad?
Oh, very, very, very excited. For those, just a quick bit of context, Beck and I have been trying to have a baby for 2 years now. So to get that news, we're 20 weeks in, which is fantastic. We had a lovely scan earlier this week, and Andy's allusion to long, she's in the 80th percentile for height. So she'll be a tall baby, but Beck and I are just over the moon. And thank you so much for your kind words. And I know that both of you have been on our journey with us as well. And so, yeah, it's just super exciting. It's cannot wait to be a hashtag girl dad. So,
Yes.
Yeah,
So
cannot
good.
wait.
looking forward. Very exciting, man. Yeah, you're right. We've been on the journey with you, and it's credit to you guys for sticking to it. Hard work pays off. So awesome. Al, you good, mate?
Yeah, doing well, mate. You two know what I'm like this time of year. It's ants in
Nerd.
the pants. It's nice because this is coming up to the anniversary of us starting this venture together. It's around this time last year we started. It's come a long way. We feel like we've got a lot more to room to grow, and we love this kind of content. It's an exciting time, and the Chargers are poised for a big season next year. So can't wait to break down all these prospects.
Yes, very well said. Coming up to the anniversary, I'll scrap that out of my intro. Thank you to the TDU crew out there, our much loved listeners. Thanks for tuning in and joining us as we roll into season 2 of the show. If you're new joining us for the first time during the excitement of the draft season and the off season, please take the time to give the video a like and subscribe to our channel. It helps us heaps reach more like-minded Chargers and NFL fans like you. We'll also be releasing the second part to this show in a couple of days' time, so make sure you do get notified before the draft comes around next week. Before we jump into the real beef of the draft gear, a quick recap on the Chargers free agent movements. As recently as a couple of days ago, Jalen Guyton has re-signed with the Chargers, hoping for a successful return from that Week 3 ACL. Slots back in as wide receiver 4 and brings back that missed vertical speed. DeAndre Carter has left the building, 1-year deal with the Raiders. Braden Fayoko, fan of the show, signed with the Steelers. Keep listening, mate, if you ever did. Matt Filer is now a Falcon, and the Chargers re-signed guard center depth Will Clapp. Probably a smart business move, retaining some veteran depth behind Corey Linsley, with Filer outgoing. All right, as I said, today's the first of 2 shows about the upcoming draft that's in a week's time. Today we are going through the offensive position groups. Then we'll follow up with the defensive position groups in due course. Doing things a little differently to most, our draft nut Al has arrived at a few prospect markers for each of us to have a think about per position group and, yeah, come to the discussion with something maybe a little bit different. So the 5 or so selections we've got the TDU tick. So this is a player you'd be happy with if the Chargers selected, whether that be at round 1, pick 21, or at a selection of your choosing. Open to interpretation, fellas. The TDU question mark, you have concerns about the Chargers drafting this player. Might be due to poor scheme fit, or you reckon he could be a bust. I love you, man. This is any player you've fallen for throughout the draft or the scouting process. whether or not the Chargers select them, you're just sort of keen to watch how their journey pans out. The Telesco special, a guy you can see Tommy T having high on his board, and the TDU sleeper, any sort of later round prospect that has caught your eye. So I guess no better place to start than with one of the hotter position groups on the minds of most Chargers fans in the offseason, the wide receivers. As it stands, with the retaining of Guyton, we've got Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, Josh Palmer, Guyton, and then Keelan Doss and John Hightower as the two depth stock fillers at the moment. Not much need be said for Mike and Keenan. As far as their ability and output, it's just a lot of money tied up in two guys with a thick injury history now. They missed a combined 10 games last year, and maybe home field advantage of some sort could have helped during that, or we would have had to knock off the Chiefs. But it could have happened if they'd hung around for more of the season. We can only hope that the season 2023 allows both to play more freely in Kellen Moore's offense. Josh Palmer showed glimpses of potential in the wake of the aforementioned injuries. He had 72 receptions, 770 yards, and 10.7 yards per, 3 TDs. Guyton's return, there's speed, I think, is still a little bit lacking. Jack, how do you think the Chargers, Telesco, Staley are going to approach this group in the draft?
Right. I had a couple of things for every positional group and maybe some questions or some other criteria. Yes, we know the tangibles. We know the 4.40 speeds. We know the 40-yard dash, I should say. We know the length. We know the measurables. So I sort of put together some criteria perhaps about how, from the intangible standpoint. So first one with wide receivers, I'm looking at the willingness to stretch the field. If a wide receiver is going to be taken in the first round, you have to understand as that wide receiver, are you happy to be the third, fourth, or maybe even fifth option? Will you run routes again and again and again and again with maybe not a lot of targets? Are you willing to do that as a first round receiver? The next thing for me was adaptability. Do you have the ability to run a full route tree? Could you play at a decent level in Keenan Allen or Mike Williams' role if they are injured? Chances are, as you alluded to, Andy, they might not play all games due to injury and just getting a little bit old. The other one in that adaptability is, can you be coached or do you have a willingness to learn? The third one I've got is thinking about our future. This wide receiver is not just a plug and play player right now to help us win a championship. We got to look at what's this guy going to be in 4 years' time when Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, they're out of the building. Can we see you catching balls in different schemes? Because we don't know how long Kellen Moore's going to be around either. Chances are it might change in the next couple of years. Or are you a one-trick pony? Are you just a burner? So are you willing, again, to continue to grow? And the last one, and I think maybe the most key, is the relationship with Herbert. Can we see you being a good teammate and building a relationship with Herbert? So those are more of those elements that they're the big picture questions, the macro sort of things that I'll be looking at. Alistair.
Now, to ask you a question about that, in determining, what you like about this class, have you weighted at all short-term success more than long-term, or do you kind of have a bang in the middle? Because the Chargers are, we all hope, in a Super Bowl window. Are you tilting the scales a bit more towards pro-ready guys, or are you still just not business as usual, we've got to build the best team, short-term and long-term?
Well, do you want me to go directly into my TDU pick? Because I think I've found the person that perhaps straddles both lines. So my first TDU pick, whether it's controversial or not, who I think might be available to us at 21 is Zay Flowers. He's my guy. I really like him. I like him over Addison. I like him over Jackson Smith in Jigba. Purely because Njigba, I think, is going in the top 10 given the news around him. But he's a 4.42 athlete. He can run a route tree. He's quick in and out of breaks, and he's pretty good at getting separation from defenders. He is undersized. So, but you'd also say Keenan Allen is an undersized receiver in the NFL too. He is savvy, and I think he's a competitor. Because his head coach said to it, or an NFL scout actually, I said, competes his ass off, but is always smiling. BC coaches say he's the type of guy everyone wants to be around, never gave up. He's on a 3-win team and he's out there blocking and fighting with tears in his eyes at the end of the game. That's why he's one of the best guys Jeff Hafley, his coach, has ever coached. He's the guy. I think he has Keenan Allen potential, maybe even a little bit quicker than Keenan Allen. I love his route running. I think he's going to be best in the slot. So I think he's perfect for the short term, but he's also got some long-term potential. That's my TDU tick at the wide receiver position.
Okay.
I'll jump in after that, Jack, and I like the way that you're looking at the wide receiver because I agree with you. I like the all-rounders, guys that can do a bit, and I've got the same. Zay Flowers, I toyed about it. I go, is a wide receiver worth it in the first round? And even with re-signing Jalen Guyton, I thought, yeah, we need just weapons. Weapons for Herbert. Really strong work ethic. He's got that sort of dog in him, like you said, and he can just do everything. He's inside, outside, slot, in motion. He can return as well. I like it. Room to grow behind the other two, and I think he can still be effective right from the get-go.
So that's it for your TDU ticks. It's Zay or bust. Interesting.
Oh, I thought we're only picking one player.
Oh, it's up to you. Go for it. You know, I'd pull a few out.
No, you go. I've only picked one player. I've done my process of elimination, and I didn't realise that we could pick multiple TDU ticks. I'm a teacher. You got to either get it right or wrong. Come on, mate.
I'll say I wouldn't expect Quentin Johnson and Smith and Jigba to be there. I'd be okay with Jordan Addison. He had that really good year in Pittsburgh with Kenny Pickett, won the Biletnikoff Award 2021. Come back to USC, didn't have such a great year, but he can do it all as well. He's probably the most polished, I think, of more stuff, but I like Zay Flowers better.
I like Zay Flowers too. My concern about Flowers is he seems to be kind of a second round pick masquerading as a first a little bit, just based on this cohort of wide receivers. Because you're looking at someone he's 5'9", 182 pounds, which it's small and light. For BC, he was kind of on the outside, really good at actually attacking down the field. His contested catch rate for a small guy was up at 58%. It's about twice the contested catch rate as Quentin Johnston, who's a big guy. So he's tough and feisty. I always try to look at like what the precedent in the NFL is for a player like that if you take him in the first round. And like Keenan's a kind of 6'3", slightly built like Jack alluded to, but I just do wonder if as a first round pick, Zay is going to kind of return the goods from a production standpoint, or if he looks more like, I don't know, like a John Brown or one of these guys or Marquise Hollywood Brown. I like him and I like his kind of effort as well. I'd prefer him in a trade down scenario, but I'm a real Jordan Addison guy. Smith and Jigma, I am as well, but like you said, I don't think he'll be there, and his skill set is quite similar to what we already have because he's slow. But Jordan Addison, for transparency, I kind of fell for him last year because I did a lot of work looking into Kenny Pickett, and every time I was watching Kenny Pickett, he's just throwing it down the field. Jordan Addison had 1,600 yards that year, 17 touchdowns, won the Biletnikoff Award, as you'd said, Andy. And what I do think he offers is kind of wins at all three levels, smooth in and out of the breaks, very good route runner. He's still only 21 years old. But I think the punctuation mark is this wide receiver class is interesting. Everyone seems to have something a little bit wrong with them. So with Addison, he's 173 pounds, 78 kilograms. Now, that's a bottom 3 percentile wide receiver. There are only 30 wide receivers that have been this light that have ever entered the NFL. And in this draft class, there are 6 of them. But I don't know, what I saw, like, he just finds a way to get open, and I think he could offer a complementary skill to what they have with Keenan and Mike. One question maybe I'll get you to answer, Andy, is our big listener, Tao, had actually straight up said, because the wide receiver class, there's no real elite talent, and whoever we draft might be a wide receiver 3 or 4, and there are other needs. He's a hard no to wide receiver in the first round. He reckons attack that in another round. Obviously, we kind of disagree with that because we all have TDU ticks, but does that resonate with you at all?
I do understand it. I'm kind of back to the question that you asked, Jack, about whether it's win now or look to sustain success.
Yeah.
I think I'm looking at it both ways, and with valuing spending or justifying spending a higher pick, I'm looking at, I don't think that Keenan and Mike are both going to be there, maybe after the end of next year. So you don't want to then be, do you want to be doubling down and be picking a wide receiver, hopefully later in the first round next year?
Or during this year, insurance risk.
Yeah.
Trying to win a Super Bowl. I mean, it helps to have a receiver you think can step up if one of those goes down.
Yeah, and heck, if they can do it in their first year, let them have a championship hangover the next year. Don't.
Yep.
But, you see my point. I see what Tao's saying, but I'm not saying absolutely not. It's all about how the pennies fall to me.
I do agree with Tao. I think the reason why there's I interpret it as TDU tick, meaning that you'd be happy to kind of see them at 21 if they were drafted. I have other TDU ticks that I would probably want. I just want to make that clear to the listeners.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that Zay Flowers we should draft at 21, because I do believe with Tao, I think there is that the wide receiver class is weak, and like quarterbacks, because it's a high value position, the amount of news and videos that go up on social media and this buzz does tend to push these guys up. And that's just the machine that we follow. Because we'll get into some other places where I think of who we should draft and why. Yeah, anyway. Does that lead into the question mark, I guess?
Yeah.
I think I would be really worried with Jalen Hyatt to be taken at 21. I don't really see him as a particularly well-rounded receiver, and I don't think he's really going to be effective even at maybe in our offense, perhaps in our offense as a 3, 4, or 5. He is very, very quick and has pretty confident ball skills, so he is that burner, and he could take the top off of defenses, but
He's going to excite a lot of Chargers fans, isn't he? The idea of Herbert and Hyatt. He had that game against Alabama, 5 touchdowns, 200 yards, and everyone freaked out in the middle of the year. A lot of Chargers fans want to see that pairing.
Yeah, but if I go back to my criteria, that's a one-trick pony at the moment. He's very much a one-trick pony, and we haven't. Maybe that's being harsh on him, but yeah, that was my question.
Pretty good
mark.
trick.
And good trick, but it's not everything.
Yep.
So that's my question mark. I'd be a bit worried if we took him at 21.
Yeah, Jack, I feel like you're stealing my homework, man. I had Jalen Hyatt as well. Initially, all I saw was the speed, and I was totally blinded by the speed. But once you actually look at how he was utilized in that Tennessee offense, in bunched stack formations, he's really like getting separation immediately from the line of scrimmage, or he's schemed open. And I tend to agree with you. Yeah, I tend to agree with you, Jack. One trick pony kind of thing. Look, I just don't know if that strength of his skill set will translate all that well at the next level. And
for a first round draft pick as well. I just think there's far more bust than boom.
I wouldn't like him in the second round either, boys, I don't think. I'm off him too. He only saw press coverage on 62 snaps in his entire college career. He's built like a twig. He's 176 pounds. Now, you want to build guys up, and okay, he had a great year. He won the Blitnikoff Award this year. Let's not shortchange him. He's only 21 years old. He actually has pretty good hands. He can contested catch. You could see him being a useful weapon in the scheme, but there are just a lot of question marks there, and that's what this category is there, right? He's basically got 1 year of college production. The 2 years before, he never had over 270 yards in a season. So my other question mark was a guy many people like to link to the Chargers. It's Quentin Johnston out of TCU. He's almost the highest ceiling guy in the class because he's the only one who looks like he could be a true X receiver because he's 6'3", 208 pounds. He looks the part. He's really explosive when he kind of breaks out of curl routes. You see him turn back, face the quarterback, catch, turn around and just go. And there's a lot to like there, but he's a bit of that, looks like Tarzan, plays a bit like Jane. He's bad with contested...
Is that PC? I don't know if we can say that anymore, mate. Let's just...
Yeah, I don't know. What would be the PC version of that? Maybe he's underwhelming or lacks some intestinal... Oh, that's getting worse.
Fortitude.
He's a finesse receiver in an ex-receiver's body. So, again, he's got room to grow because he's only 21, but when things mattered, last year, the national championship game against Georgia, he had 1 catch for 3 yards. And I know he suffered from bad quarterback play at TCU, but if you're talking about a top 10 ex-receiver, let's get it. This guy chest catches it, he drops too many balls, and he's not a big contested catch guy. But some people love him. I've got a question.
I thought you would have had him as your Telesco favourite because he's got the size and some of the abilities that Mike Williams had in the first round. You know, that big guy. Any interesting?
Yeah, I
that
think
almost puts me off him because I was a bit dirty when we spent the 7th on Mike Williams.
a lot of people have said that, but I see the differences is like Mike's actually good at going up and getting it down the field, but he's not that fast. Quentin Johnson's almost the opposite. He's super fast and explosive, great vertical leap and all that stuff. The big play, that's when he goes missing.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. Is this I Love You Man? This is the I Love You Man. I've got to go with the Jay Reid, Jaden Reid, because I'd love to see a Jay Reid playing for the Chargers.
Narrowly missed for me, mate. I love him too.
Narrowly missed. I think he's a 3rd or 4th round prospect out of Michigan State. He has another one of these very, very slight receivers. Will probably struggle early on against NFL defensive backs, but he's got speed, he's got some tempo, and he's got good downfield ball skills. Ingredients to make a potential NFL playmaker. I don't think he's got them right now. They're still all separate ingredients. They need to be put together with some good, some technical coaching and just some time at the NFL level. But he also has some value as a return man. So he's multifaceted. Again, I go back to that adaptability. So Jay Reid could be drafted in the 3rd or 4th round. I'd be happy with that.
Nice. I had him later on in my stack. I Love You Man, for me, is Marvin Mims. Now, not necessarily because of his skill set, but in my line of work, MIMS is an acronymic name for a type of cable, mineral insulated metal sheathed, used a lot outside in railways and stuff like that. So there was a little bit of that, that the name caught my eye straight away.
He's also electric.
I watched some of his tape, and to be fair, I could have probably chucked him in a couple of other categories. He had a really good combine, did himself a world of favours with some of his testing results, sub 4.4 40, 39.5-inch vertical, 10'9" broad jump, both ranking high in the high 80% percentiles. Good catch radius. I'm really interested to see where this guy lands and how he goes after hopefully bulking up a bit. I think his play strength was a bit down, so he struggled against some of the man coverage, but good ability to track the football.
And a popular name linked with the Chargers.
Yeah.
A lot of Chargers Twitters all about this guy if he's in the 3rd round. He also addresses punt returner kind of need, which the team now needs with Dre having left the building. I'll only talk about one, but I love these two guys who are almost the same dude. It's Josh Downs from North Carolina and Nathaniel Tank Dell from Houston.
Tank Dell.
Just love the way they play. Tank Dell, he's nicknamed Tank from his mother due to his large head, apparently. I just got Pumpkin, so Tank would have been better, actually, back at school. He beat me to the punch. And I should say, a lot of this is not our work. We should reference that Dane Brugler from The Athletic has just released the Beast Draft Guide, which is full of information and tidbits, Chargers fans. So if you want to know anything about these prospects, that's where we've got some of this information. Tank Dell, similar to Josh Downs, they're 5'9", about 180-pound wide receivers, but the way they play belies their size. They actually have really good hands down the field, low drop percentage, great contested catchability. So you think, it gives them a chance, I think, to succeed at the next level despite their frame and size, which is what you need, right? If you're going to be an outlier from a prototype tangible perspective, you need to have something that's going to translate to the next level. And for both of them, I think they've got this quick twitch, explosive stuff where they just know how to get open from the slot. So two of those guys, Josh Downs and Tank Dell, for me, they're my I Love You Mans.
Cool. I think we move on to the Telesco favourite. I found this really difficult in the process, actually. The sleeper, the I Love You Man, and the tick and the not sure. Yeah, they were easy. The Telesco favourite. I mean, I struggled to find a Telesco favourite here, so I just picked a name out of the hat. Realistically, I looked at
It's usually what he does, I think.
It's kind of traits. I mean, I've gone. I don't know. It could. Is it Nathaniel Dell? That's what I sort of fell on. 4th to 5th round grade out of Houston. Again, he's quick. He's got stop acceleration, can create chunk plays, but again, he's not a polished NFL receiver yet, but could be quite a dynamic weapon to have at 3, 4, or 5. But he also handles he also can handle punt return duties as well. So Nathaniel Dell was my Telesco favourite. Could be a sleeper, I guess, as well. Andy, what was your Telesco favourite?
Yeah, I understand what you mean by it being a bit difficult. So at times when I wasn't too sure, I went sort of cliche or a bit sort of gimmicky. We've spoken about Jordan Addison already. I think probably Jackson Smith and Jigba might be higher on Telesco's board. But with the reality of landing the player, I reckon Jordan Addison would be above Trey Flowers. And they've met with him. He's a local boy now from USC, and I think he will. Yeah, he's Telesco's favourite.
To add to that, he was recruited at Pittsburgh by Chris Beatty, who's the Chargers' new wide receiver coach. Yeah. So there's some synergies there. I took it in a direction of the types of receivers that the Chargers have drafted quite a lot, kind of 6'2", 6'3", not particularly fast, high character. And there are two who fit the bill. There's Cedric Tillman from Tennessee and A.T. Perry from Wake Forest. Not burners at all. Like, Tillman's got better hands, I think, than A.T. Perry. I'm higher on Tillman than Perry. I actually think he could be one of the steals of the draft because he's down because he had a high ankle sprain this year. But if you go back to 2021, he was highly productive for Tennessee. But I think with these two guys, you just don't know if they're really the right fit for the Chargers. You just have the feeling that we don't need another wide receiver who has that kind of prototype. We've already got a few of them in the building. But the thing about them as well is this is a classic Telesco thing. They're from schools that the Chargers will feel like they had success from recently. With Tennessee, the Chargers had Josh Palmer. So, hey, I know it's a different coaching staff, but we're going to grade the uniform. Yeah. A.T. Perry's Wake Forest. I think Josiah Taylor did pretty well there, and they say A.T. Perry's a high character guy. So those are a couple of names for the listeners.
All I think when I hear A.T. Perry is like 12% or something like that.
Yeah.
And it just makes me feel so yuck. Go play on, Jack.
Or when I hear Perry, I think of our senior school science teacher and maths teacher. That's what I think
Old
of.
man
He ran a similar 40 times. So
He
had slowest 10-yard dash at the whole combine. So AT and Mr. Perry cut from the same cloth.
Let me bootstrap this TDU sleeper pick back on that analysis, Alistair, of big receivers that are sort of physically traitsy. So my TDU sleeper is Elijah Higgins from Stanford.
Ooh, nice
sort
one.
of your 6 foot plus receiver. He's got an intriguing height, weight, and speed ability, or sort of, I guess, traits with him. He could be a problem matchup wise. He's not polished at all. He's a deep pick on that third day somewhere. But also, because we're having these issues with tight end, what are we doing with the room? Elijah Higgins, I saw on tape, does have the size and the weight to perhaps be that move tight end, or even that big slot. So just another weapon somewhere, a traitsy big guy. We like Parham, 6'8". That we like sort of big, big guys or athletically gifted guys in that later round. So Elijah Higgins could be one of those.
Yeah, nice. My TDU sleeper has been mentioned already. Now, with Jalen Guyton re-signing, I think the likelihood that the Chargers go after 2 wide receivers in this draft is probably minimised, whether they attack it early or later. As deep as I went, I just couldn't go past Jaden Reed. A real Swiss Army knife kind of guy, like you said, Jack. Experience returning, versatile. It's kind of fitting, I think, that he's been comped to Andre Roberts. And because, if we get him in the return game, which we'll need, that could be cool. Polished route runner, potentially limited ceiling as a wide receiver too, but more than likely a consistent kind of decent floor. So my sleeper in the sort of fourth. I know it's not too sleepery, but early day 3, that'll do.
I had that in pencil as well. I know our good buddy Kyle is a big fan of Andre Josevich from Princeton, who again a lot of Chargers fans.
Yeah,
Super
limited
fast.
sort of limited, but yeah, moves for a big guy.
Oh boy, I think track background. But my sleeper was a very random guy called Charlie Jones from Purdue, who is a white outside receiver. You don't see them that often. He is. That's what you got to say, because the only comps you have, you start thinking, Edelman, Cole Beasley, Cooper Kupp. They're few and far between. But his story's incredible. He's 24 and a half.
Find me a wider name than Charlie Jones.
Exactly. Probably a drummer as well. So he's already 24 and a half years old. So he's been a college player forever. And he was so under the radar. He began his career at the University of Buffalo, transferred to Iowa, played 2 years at each of them. Then he decides to go to Purdue for his final year because the quarterback was his mate from high school. Out of nowhere, this guy for the Boilermakers has 110 catches, 1,300 yards and 13 touchdowns in 2022. Out of absolutely nowhere. An elite 2.7% drop rate. He runs nice routes, great in the quick passing game, so slants, crosses, all that stuff, and he's got good value, like you said with Reed, Prof. He's a special teams ace and a returner. So
I'm having shades of Dylan Cantrell. My
yes.
God, a wide receiver.
I forgot.
Well, don't. This guy's only 5'11", 175 pounds, so he's a little fella. But I just wanted to shout him out, just because that's an incredible story to have no college career, and then all of a sudden you look like you're going to get drafted on day 3. So good on you, Charlie Jones.
Mate, we've already got a small white guy, and that's Michael Bandy. So give that guy a contract. No, I'm joking.
He's gone.
He's gone. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Go on, selling insurance, no doubt.
Or rubber bands, who knows?
That's what they do. Rubber band. All right, that wraps up our wide receivers. So on to the running backs. Now, interesting group, this one as the off-season went on. Not because of any changes, really, just obviously the lack of ideal Eckler contract situation, the back and forth and stuff. Contract talks are off as it stands. So behind 40 TDs in the last 2 years, we've got Joshua Kelly, who showed positive strides, I think, in 2022. Former 6th round pick Larry Roundtree, who was cut and then recommissioned, and look, a relative unknown in Isaiah Spiller. All in all, the unit ranked 30th in yards per game and 30th in yards per attempt. Was that the...
Thanks, Joe.
Yeah, exactly. Was that a product of the guidance? I think our group is probably a little bit better than that. In saying that, there's been a pretty good running back coming out of the draft that's been linked to most teams, I guess, picking in the 20s. The amount of mock drafts that get thrown out. Al, what do you make of this group, and how do you see the team approaching this position in the draft?
I love the group. I think it's a really good group and a deep group. It seems like the college running backs are getting better and better and more plentiful, which is why no one wants to pay them at the NFL level, because they feel like there's a ready replacement. The big conversation I have in my head about should the Chargers be even contemplating Bijan Robinson early in the draft. And let's be clear, a lot of people think he's the best prospect to come out since Adrian Peterson, 12, 15 years, a real generational guy. Are we in a window so that you want to plop in a running back? I think running backs in the first round are no good on teams that are in rebuild mode, like when the Giants spent on Saquon. I'd say tick. Do you have an elite franchise quarterback? I think the answer for us is a clear yes, and I'm loath to drop in one of these elite guys who, give him 20 carries a game. What you're doing there is taking the ball out of the hands of your franchise quarterback, or you're going to be tempted to do it and this is the real analytics thing, even a really good running back, the most you're getting per carry is 6 yards. It's like a bad completion. So it's not a very efficient way to move the ball, and it's kind of what you do if you don't have a guy who can push it down the field. So that's the kind of question I have in my mind about what's the value in the first round. Now, the Chargers like drafting running backs. We drafted one in 2018, Justin Jackson. Josh Kelly, 2020. Larry Roundtree, 2021. Last year, we actually took 2 because Horvath counts, right, as a fullback. Yeah. maybe before I kind
Out.
of go on for forever and a day, I'll give one of you an opportunity to jump in on this concept of, a Bijan Robinson type. Is that a guy the Chargers should think about in the first round, or are you in the don't draft running backs in the first round camp?
I'll field this. I'm not in the don't draft running backs in the first round. I'm not in that camp. I just think that it would be a churlish decision for the Chargers to draft a running back with that pick. Like you mentioned earlier, the ideal trade scenario of moving maybe 5 or 6 spots down. You'd have to think that if a team was willing to give up capital, that they'd be coming up to get the likes of Robinson or someone, or it would fall probably past that spot. I don't want to spoil many more of my answers, but I don't think it's a good decision. Like you said, my big point as well is don't take the ball out of Justin's hands more than we have to.
Do you think there's any chance that Austin Eckler gets traded over the course of this draft weekend? Would that change it? Or are you kind of in the, Eckler's going to be on the team next year, so forget it?
In what way is Eckler getting traded for the Chargers to move up somewhere, and it's part of the bounty that we're giving up? Like, what's the scenario where we're trading just to get Hall? Someone goes, actually, you know what, we missed out on our running back. Can we have Austin Eckler? Or what?
It's probably unlikely, isn't it? It would be a round 3 kind of pick. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fair question. Also, a positive of having a reliable running back is that you can burn the clock down at the end of games, which is something the Chargers haven't been too great at.
No.
We lack that able, and I'm not, he's not a super power runner, but he can hang on to the ball and make people miss.
Well, let's look at it this way. Okay, so you've gone very much the glass is half empty. Let's have a look at it from a half full perspective. Let's go draft night. Bijan Robinson is there at 21. We go, okay, Eckler is now available to trade on draft night to get us perhaps a second or a third round pick. Let's look at it. So we go, oh, well, but what about Bijan Robinson? He hasn't been in the building very long. We've got a brand new offensive coordinator. Eckler's going to be starting with a brand new scheme anyway. So, Okay, we get a guy who's young. We get a guy who's a generational talent. Listen, I'm not saying let's draft Bijan, but I think we got to look at the positives here. You're looking at a guy that behind Ricky Williams, Cedric Benson, and Earl Campbell has got the most most receiving yards in their career. He's ridiculous in the passing game. He's ridiculous in the running game. He's a complete package. He is what Eckler, I think, could... I think he's a better version of Austin Eckler because I think he's more balanced. And if we look at what Kellen Moore did with the run-pass game, and the Chargers have been very vocal on trying to bring back more of a balance between the run-pass game, is Bijan Robinson a better option than keeping Austin Eckler? Given the fact that there's going to be a brand new offensive scheme and you're going to be starting at scratch anyway. Why not start with a younger... more polished runner than Austin Eckler? Maybe not. And that's very attractive. And on draft night, we get Bijan and we get a maybe mid-second day pick back for Austin Eckler at best in the second round. I don't know. Anyway, that's
it's a good question because I think that, and let's be honest, like TDU tick, Bijan, am I right in suggesting he's the only one we're really considering? So let's keep talking about Bijan. Just a couple fun nuggets. He's the first player in the history of Arizona sport to rush for 2,000 yards twice in high school. So he was just a freak since the day he was born, essentially. He set the PFF record for broken tackles in college with 104 last year. 257 carries, 1,575 yards, 18 touchdowns. 0 drops in the receiving game. 21 carries of more than 15 yards. This guy does everything. He ran zone, he ran gap. His pro comps are LaDainian Tomlinson or Edgerrin James. So ridiculous prospect. I think what you need to think about is the opportunity cost, and this is why people don't like running backs in the first round. When you take a first-round draft pick, they get a first-round draft pick's contract. So if you hit on edge or tackle or these positions that cost $20 million a year when they're really good, you've got them at $3 or $4 million per year for 4 or 5 years. Whereas with Bijan Robinson, from day one, if you take him at pick 21, you're paying him whatever it is, $2 million per year. Whereas that's kind of what reasonable running backs get paid.
Yeah.
So that's part of the discussion. What else could you do with the draft capital? What do you reckon, Andy?
Yeah, that's a fair point. I'm actually going to renege a little bit on what I said about wanting to take the ball out of Justin's hands. There were far too many times last year he was throwing the ball over 50 times a game. So
Yeah.
we've got to compromise on that a little bit. You make a very valid point about essentially paying a rookie running back, a max running back contract for his first contract. Like, it's close to it. You're not wrong. I think there's crazy units out there paying some running backs what they're getting. But look, while they're young, I don't know. For me,
Would you take him?
It's a real tough one. It's got to be who else is on the board. You know.
Yeah.
Would I take him? Oh, if we didn't have too many other holes, then maybe. I think there's just too many other things that are far more important.
Look at this fence sitter. You should be the lawyer, mate.
Yeah.
Bit of column A, column B. Yep.
I
Jack?
would.
Yep.
I would take him if he fell to 21. I would, and then try and move Eckler on a draft night trade somewhere.
That's what
Interesting.
I was going to ask. So when the Chargers go on the clock, are you getting on the phone trying to shop Eckler?
It depends on who.
Is
as you
Eckler
said,
worth
Andy.
more before we've drafted Bijan or after we've drafted him, and then you pick up the phone and then you go, "Hey, you want to? We've
God,
we've
you
got
wouldn't want to
replacement."
trade him before,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
What if
You
you,
wouldn't want to
miss
trade
out on Bijan?
Call up at pick 10. Hey, how about it?
And so
This is
then you're
going
left
exactly how we thought it would fall.
then you're left with Joshua Kelly as your RB1.
And Larry.
I listen. Naturally there's going to be his stock is going to be less because you've taken Bijan and you've got a stacked running back room now. So teams aren't maybe perhaps going to part with a pick, but you could easily package it some way. I think that might be far too aggressive for Tom Telesco a little bit, but he does love running backs, so it's an interesting proposition. It's a very, very interesting proposition. And also, we haven't covered some of the other, probably one of the more important groups on offense yet. It depends if there are some players available over that. So, yeah,
Can I ask Chargers fans one thing? NFL is supposed to be fun, right? If it happens that we get to draft day and Bijan is the pick, I challenge you, just enjoy it. There's going to be all this, well, the process is wrong and really we should go at edge or cornerback. If you take Bijan, you're going to get to watch a guy who might bring you similar joy to LaDainian Tomlinson. I never really got to watch that. I was a bit too young. So if it happens, I'll go fantastic. We're going to get to watch this fantastic player in powder blues and I'm going to do my best just to enjoy Bijan Robinson at 21.
agreed.
It's a fair statement. All right, Jack, TDU question mark.
Question mark. Jameer Gibbs. Yeah. Question. Oh, sorry, have I taken people?
No, I love him.
Do
This is
you?
good.
Okay.
I like him too, yeah.
For me, I thought he doesn't necessarily have the ideal size or perhaps the power for the punishment in the NFL.
No doubt.
He is extremely athletic. He's got great vision and pass catching skills. But for me, if I'm drafting at 121 or even in the second round, he's kind of like Austin Eckler anyway in the fact, and his comps are Alvin Kamara and Chris Johnson. So perhaps those lighter, faster, very much the Swiss Army knife weapon, like Eckler already is. So I'm not saying that Jameer Gibbs is a crap player, not at all. I think he's a pretty good prospect. But at 121 or 221, I would really question that pick. So Jameer Gibbs is my question mark.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's fair enough. Not necessarily the best scheme fit. My question mark is Devon Achane. I just find his size to be absolutely absurd for what we need. He's smaller than me.
Yeah.
And I just don't see him to be a good fit for the Chargers.
Can you run like him?
He's quick. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. A lot of these guys, that 5'9", 5'10", 180 pounds, that's kind of my area, and I think, holy fucking shit, if I could move like that. Oh.
Yeah. He runs a 10.2 100 or whatever it is. Yeah. He's just a sprinter.
Yep, he's my question mark.
I actually agree with everything you said, Jack. My question mark is taking any other running back, not called Bijan, before round 4 or round 3 if we manage to, trade down and accumulate an extra pick on day 2. So I'm with you. We've got other needs we need to address as a football team. Running back isn't really one of them. If the team went in with its present stable of running backs, that would be good enough to survive. We want to be a pass-first football team anyway. There is one question mark I have is a bloke called Sean Tucker out of Syracuse. But that's all around medical red flag stuff. So he didn't participate at the combine. He's a very explosive, fun guy to watch, but he's not very elusive. He's a straight line speed. And I kind of look at him and think, yeah, okay, the team that takes him, I'd be worried that he doesn't work out at the NFL level. A bit like I was worried about a Texas A&M running back last year, but jury's still out on him.
I was really high on 2014 Marion Grice, running back out of Arizona State. Let's not draft someone like that again, please.
Yeah, let's
random.
never do that again.
Random. I had that as my question mark. I was like, who the fuck was Marion Grice? Jesus. Anyway, all right.
I love you, man.
Do you want to go again, Alistair? I love you, man. Go. That's
Okay, I love you, man. Mine is Dwayne McBride from the University of Alabama at Birmingham, so UAB. Let's get rid of the bad thing first. This is a very low level of competition, Conference USA football. He only faced 2 Power 5 defenses over his entire college career, but you watch the tape and it is so much fun. He had 1,700 yards last year, 19 touchdowns. Only trailed Bijan and Javonte Williams for forced missed tackles ever recorded since 2014. So he's just one of these guys, smooth, one cut, remarkable contact balance, lacks separation speed, so he's not going to really get those deep kind of long touchdowns, but his legs are always churning, and I think if you got this guy anywhere round 3 or 4, it would be happy days. Only 5 receptions in his college career, so he is not a receiving back at all. He's a first and second down thumper, but does he thump well? Yes, he does.
I loved him as well. But I've gone with the 3-year starter out of Auburn, another tank, and that's Tank Bigsby. He's one of my favourites. Again, he's kind of in more of that receiver sort of, he's got upfield explosiveness. He doesn't really have that power run. But again, I was thinking in a world without Austin Eckler, Jahmyr Gibbs fills that role, but perhaps, Tank Bigsby might be there in sort of middle of day 2. I think he's got really good upside as a receiver, but also his blocking skills are actually quite strong as well, which I always rate in a running back that we draft, because we are going to hopefully be a pass first, more balanced, but a pass first team. And I think he's got potential in a gap or zone running scheme. So Tank Bigsby, you're the boy. I'd love to see you on the team.
You're muted, Andy.
You're muted, Andy. Andy's talking into the grave there. There we go.
Apologies,
He's
fellas. My I love you, man, is Zach Charbonnet. At 6 foot, 215 pounds, he's just got really good speed for his size. He's strong. He hits the lanes hard. I almost could have this guy as like a 3rd round, or maybe if he fell that far, kind of TDU pick, just for how I think he'd complement Eckler really well. I just don't think he'll be around that long. Not super agile, but his ball security clamps onto that thing and he ain't dropping it. Cool name too.
What Spiller's supposed to be, I think, Charbonnet, and maybe Spiller will become.
Yeah. I think I have faith in Spiller. I have faith.
All right, Jack, your Telesco favourite.
Nothing. I've got nothing for this one. I couldn't do it. This was a hard thing, so I don't have a Telesco favourite. Alistair, I'll pass it straight to you.
Yeah, 2 blokes. If you've been talking about Austin Eckler a lot, Jack, a guy called Chase Brown out of Illinois, I see him as almost being a replica. Not the same strength, but similar smarts and good at most things. He out of all the running backs, he won in the vertical jump and broad jump, so he's an explosive guy. Only 5'9" down to the ground. He had the most carries out of all Power 5 backs in the NFL. In the college football last year, so a very high volume and production. Bit of a fumbling problem, but if you were to move out Eckler, he could come in, and there are some similarities there. And then a guy who could have easily made I Love You Man for me, and I don't know if either of you got to him, but Tyjae Spears out of Tulane is a heck of a lot of fun. Heck of a lot of fun. With his running style, he reminded me a little of Travis Etienne. 5'10", 205. He's a bit of a tweener, so he's not, receiving back, but nor is he a bigger kind of a Tank Bigsby type. But I just thought he could do a bit of everything in the passing game, in the running game. He is athletic enough, although that's probably the one question mark. Is he going to be able to do what he did playing for Tulane at the NFL level? But he's elusive, and he's another guy I could see fitting in seamlessly for us.
Yeah, I had Tyjae Spears as my Telesco favourite too. All the things you said there. Balled out at the Senior Bowl as well, which seems to be a magnet for Tommy T.
Well said. Do you want to do TDU sleeper, Andy? Jump in.
Yeah, sure. Another one like Charbonnet that could be a TDU tick for me. He possibly in the 4th or 5th. He's the power behind Bijan. Bijan's
Yes.
finesse at Tennessee, and it's Roschon Johnson. Big guy, 6'2", 223. Obviously a limited showing behind the number one, but I really like the way he runs. He doesn't want to go to ground. He's always fighting. Creative in breaking tackles, and his contact balance looks really good. Not going to blow you away with his speed. He needs a fair bit of work in the passing game too. But yeah, I think I might have heard him referred to as the Thunder to Eckler's Lightning.
Yeah.
Nice,
Whenever
nice
Thunder's
combo.
mentioned, that's good for us. I'm going to go with a Tulsa again in that same weight range of,
Like
is it
that
sort
one,
of
Ed.
216, 220.
Yeah, I like it a bit.
That's Deneric Prince, a big banger, athletically gifted, and he's turned heads at the combine with his profile and especially he's a big guy too. But he's probably down the depth chart somewhere as probably more of a developmental player. Could be special teams somewhere, but I just wanted a big banger, and big Prince looked the goods to me. So yeah, love to have him on a 6th or 7th, or if there's a UDFA, pick him up after the draft.
Yes, big bangers like what big bangers do, Jack. And I would say another big love of mine, almost made my I Love You Man, is the Pittsburgh running back Israel Abanikanda, or Izzy, and he's just similar to Devon A-Chain, where, okay, he's got what I like to call bye-bye speed. It's just like one cut, take it to the house, ridiculous. 2-time 100-meter gold medalist at the New York City Mayor's Cup race, so he's just speed personified. But he's got a thick lower half as well. And this is a guy who, even though he had 1,500 yards last year for Pittsburgh, also is only 20 and a half years old. He won't turn 21 until later this month. So I think there will be some teams who look for Abanikanda in the kind of 3rd round, 4th round range. If you take a flyer on him in a zone scheme, especially, one of these Shanahan schemes where it's just see the cut, go, Abanikanda's the guy you want.
Yeah, like him too. All right, let's break up the position breakdown just for a hot minute and get into something a little bit of fun.
Now hang on, Steve. What's he asking?
150.
Tell him he's dreaming.
So each of us have come up with a few draft-related propositions. We're going to go around the horn. Just quick hitters. If you agree, you agree. If not, tell me you're dreaming. Jack, first one's for you. The Chargers will take a quarterback on day 3 of the draft.
That's what I might. Tell him he's dreaming. Tell him he's dreaming. I don't think we've signed Stick, and I think we're keeping 2 in the room this year. So tell him he's dreaming.
Good answer.
Alistair, the hardest place to be drafting in the first round is actually between picks 20 and 25.
Yeah, I think it's up there. I agree with you. It's just that thing where you want to trade down most of the time. I agree, Jack.
It's so hard, yeah. Anyway.
It's rough, especially in this class where there aren't so many blue chip prospects. Andy, this will be Tom Telesco's last draft as GM of the Los Angeles Chargers.
Oh,
Good one.
oh, that is a good one. You're dreaming. I don't think so.
That would be a dream, wouldn't it?
Win
Yeah.
the Super Bowl. Alistair, I'm going to go back to you.
Yes, sir.
The Chargers should not draft a tight end in the first round this year.
I'm gonna hold the pen. I like
it.
keep the gun in the holster because I'm gonna talk about that a bit in the tight end stuff. But it's a good question. You could go either way. I'll throw to you, Jack. Jack, the Chargers have taken at least 2 defensive backs in each of the first 2 drafts since Staley became the head coach. The Chargers will take at least 2 defensive backs again this year.
Tell him he's dreaming. I don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
I think one. I think we've got a pretty good. I think we've got a pretty good stock of them at the moment. Well, it depends if JC Jackson's coming back, but from all reports, he looks like he's okay. I'm not sure what's happening with Callahan. He hasn't re-signed yet. That's kind of interesting. So
I think he's out.
yeah, he might be gone. I think we might be looking to add to that room with UDFAs. Andy, the Patriots, alongside drafting Cole Strange in the first round last year, will take guard Saidi Sow from Eastern Michigan, the 300.
Say that again.
Saidi Sow, the 323-pound Bromont Quebecian as their first round pick of the 2023 draft. Not only because his name rhymes with cow, but he also used to play ice hockey and loves the Montreal Canadiens. Saidi Sow.
That can't be a real name. That sounds Chinese.
Saidi Sow is his name. Saidi Sow.
I think I'm dreaming because that cannot have been real. What I just experienced. No,
that is
I actually
real.
I think the Patriots are going to be pretty hot on Zay Flowers as well. So
Bastards.
you're dreaming. Jack, go back to you, mate. Telesco needs to address Corey Linsley's heir in this draft.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's really important. Will Clapp is a bit of a, wouldn't even call him a Band-Aid. I'd call him a break glass in emergency type player. So yeah, I think we'd be looking at hopefully someone in that 3 to 6 range, or third to round 6. Alistair, firing back at you. With
Yes.
Sean McVay's seeming new lease on life, the Rams, for the first time, have picks. I'll go through some of them: 36, 69, 77, 167, and then you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in the later rounds.
Yeah.
And they are the number one, I think, sleeper organisation that could make some big moves on draft night to draft their next quarterback.
Oh.
Am I dreaming, or am I right?
I think you're right in the sense that with all those picks, they will take a quarterback. I still think I don't think it means that Stafford's out the door. I think they're going to stick with him for a little bit, but I like the way you're thinking, mate. I agree. They've got so many picks to spend, and it will be good to see what they do with them. Andy, for the first time in NFL history, the first 4 selections of the 2023 NFL draft will be quarterbacks.
That's fucked. That's my next question for you. Exactly that. I agree. I agree with you. Yeah. I think
They're
it's
going to be 4 quarterbacks.
Yep, I think it's
Wowee.
going to be QB.
All right, I'll ask you another one then. The Chargers will draft a cornerback with one of their first 2 picks in the draft, Andy.
A cornerback with the first 2 picks.
Cornerback. I think it's a
Corner.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, corner. Crazy similar to the next question I'll ask you, but I agree. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I think. Oh well, I'll ask you. Chargers go defense in the first round.
Yes. Chargers go defense. Not to spoil anything for next week's show, but I think there's a good chance. Jack, can I throw one at you, mate?
Sure.
Chargers haven't made a draft weekend trade since Staley became head coach. They will execute at least 1 trade this year.
On draft night, or draft during the draft?
Weekend.
Oh, the weekend. I think they will. Yes, I'm. Given how Tom was very coy, it's like, oh well, you never know. We've got our picks, but we might have more. I think they will. I don't think it'll be a sexy one. It'll be some weird late rounds kind of like, let me give you a pick 167 for 210 and 109. I don't know what that was, but it'll be something weird like that.
Get a bit of a.
Alistair, let me throw something back to you.
Yep.
The Chargers will have such a good draft that Brandon Staley will grow back some of the hair he's lost over the past 2 years.
Isn't he looking shocking?
In the 3 days of fun. There'll be a decided difference after the
His
draft.
beard looked great.
Yeah, revenge tour. I like it.
Good.
Now, I know from experience that you can use minoxidil or other supplements to kind of give a little puff to the old do if you're starting to lose a bit. So, Brandon, if you're listening, it may impact your liver functioning, but it could be worth it. Think about it. I'll do one final one from me. I'll throw it back at you, Jack.
Yep.
At least one team this year will trade their first round pick for a starting wide receiver, a la what happened with AJ Brown last year?
Oh. I mean, the precedent is there because all of those trades have been quite incredible, I think, for teams. The AJ Brown pick is, essentially put the Eagles in the Super Bowl.
And it's not a good wide receiver class.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And without knowing the contract situation, I mean, DeAndre Hopkins is still around. No.
Not a first, yeah.
No, not a first, I don't think. Andy, I'll throw my last one at you. This is a bit of a loaded question, actually, and is quite topical. But Justin Herbert is waiting to see how the team approaches the draft before committing to any big long-term deal.
Conspiracies abound. Yeah.
You're dreaming. You're absolutely dreaming.
That's what I thought.
It's a fair
good
point,
boy.
but he's a good boy. That's right. He's a good Chargers boy. Jack, my last one. No less than 5 day one trades will take place. No less than 5.
5 on draft night. 5's a lot, so I'm going to say you're dreaming. I reckon the over-under of that would be 3.5.
Not bad, not bad. Cool.
Yeah, that was good.
All right.
That was fun. All
Good
right,
bit of
let's
fun.
get back to it.
Right into the tight ends. So this tight end group, we obviously get Gerald Everett back, same as Donald Parham. We've got Trey McKitty, Stone Smart, and Hunter Campmoyer. And if that makes you as sad in the pants as it makes me, then we've got to attack this position in the draft.
We do.
Everett proved to be a total dog when he wasn't laying eggs at the goal line. He finished the season really strongly. He's a yak monster, very valuable. He was the 16th ranked tight end in the league per PFF, and he just encouraged tacklers to hang off him as he fought for extra yards. Run block grade of 48.2, not ideal. In fact, the blocking as a whole is pretty unideal. Parham probably the best blocker, but only managed 7 games in 2023 and has a concussion history. 12 targets and 1 touchdown. Needs to see the field more. It's as simple as that. Needs to stay healthy. Trey McKitty, for mine, I have bashed him plenty. I don't need to do it again. Not up to scratch. And as for the backups, I don't see too much promise in either of those. Jack, how do you expect Telesco or Staley to approach this group in the draft?
All right. Exactly the same as the wide receiver room. I've gone for some interesting categories that I might be asking the more ephemeral or nebulous questions. Yes, tangibles are great, but let's have it. I'm going to ask you some questions, tight ends, when I'm drafting you. The first question is: do you have doo-doo ability? And what I mean by doo-doo ability, as I'm a soon-to-be father, a friend of ours' child has a thing called a doo-doo, and it's a thing that they take everywhere with them, like a little doll. They suck on it, they play with it, whatever. So I'm going to be asking the tight end, every quarterback has a doo-doo. Every good quarterback has a doo-doo. A safety toy they bring everywhere there. So you've got to think Kelsey Mahomes, Gronk Brady, Gates Rivers, Romo Witten, Gonzalez Ryan, Clark Manning, etc. Do you have the ability to be Justin Herbert's doo-doo? The next thing that I'm thinking, and I'm going to say we want a receiver over to do it all. Because modern day play calling, and I think Kellen Moore's going to bring modern day play calling, and mobile QBs lean towards a more supreme athlete at the tight end position. Look at how effective Kelsey is. I'm not going to say that the game has passed players like Gronk and things, but look at how effective those pretty much wide receivers are at the tight end spot. So are you ready, and do you have that physically and mentally to be tight end one immediately, because you possibly could be. The next ones are pretty simple. Don't be a fuckwit guy. A lot of tight ends at the moment are real fucking weird. Kelsey being one of them. I don't mind it a little bit, but don't be a fuckwit. Later rounds will be special teams aces. Tight ends have the ability to really make the huddles hum and are really good for special rounds. So do you have the versatility to, in the later rounds picks, or as we get there, for Fiken to do his job and develop you? And the last one...
Did you do that one on purpose?
I did, yes. Everyone knows that I can't say his name properly. The last one, and I think perhaps the most important one, is I've gone Gates replace, embrace the mistakes. Because if we do take a tight end in round one, everyone will begin to say that the Herbert and the round one tight end is the new Rivers and Gates. Can you handle that pressure? And can you actually perform if you don't get off to a good start?
Awesome.
With that being said, I have gone with my TDU tick, and I would be very, very, very happy if we took him, is Dalton Kincaid. That's mine. Dalton Kincaid is mine. I think he's still developing certain parts of his strength and consistency as a blocker. I don't think he's particularly polished there, but he is definitely an above average pass catcher. He's got burst, he's got body control, he's got the ball skills, and he's going to be a weapon wherever he goes. I really think he is. He's that perfect, and he projects as that Travis Kelce playmaking move tight end in the NFL. I love him. I've spoken a lot, so I'll throw it over to you, Alistair. I love Dalton Kincaid as that 21 pick.
I think one of the first questions you need to ask here is what happens when you take a tight end in the first round? Is it worth it for that position? And something you just need to be aware of is there's not a good recent record of taking tight ends in the first round. And you don't want to be a prisoner to history, but you want to be aware of it. Recent first round picks at tight end include Jermaine Gresham, Tyler Eifert, Eric Ebron, OJ Howard, Evan Ingram, David Njoku, Hayden Hurst, TJ Hawkinson, Noah Fant, and Kyle Pitts. Or really very few of them, I would say, have returned good value on the investment, which is why if the team can trade down and get Kincaid, I don't think that's possible, but I would approve. Or it's why I kind of want to hold off maybe till the second or third, but you wanted to jump in there, Jack.
But how many of those guys have the measurables and the physical ability that Dalton Kincaid has? Those are tight ends, I think, other than maybe Kyle Pitts. And who's been thrown to Kyle Pitts? Fucking no one. So he hasn't. And when he's had the opportunity,
he'll be good eventually.
To be that tight end wide receiver, he's looked dominant. So
yes, agreed.
So I think you've got to be careful with that argument there because a lot of those names like your Hawkinsons and things, they're still pretty big guys. Kincaid, I think, and Mayer are slight exceptions to this to that rule.
Yeah, okay. Well, let's talk about Dalton Kincaid because he's also my TDU tick. I'm going to start with the things that worry me about him from a risk profile. He's a bit older than most prospects. He's 23 and a half. Predominantly a basketballer growing up in Las Vegas.
I was going to say that. Gates.
No, yes. He wasn't even a starred recruit coming out of high school, went to some nobody San Diego college, and then he transfers randomly to Utah and just goes bang, bang, 2021, 2022. Suddenly this guy's a first round pick because he's got all those things you said, Jack. He moves a bit similarly to a Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
Now, I hate doing comps to, all pro players, but he really does have that kind of smooth run after catch, immediately turn up field, and he's got a very low drop rate. He catches everything. He's got buckets for hands.
35-4 touchdown to drop ratio.
Fantastic. He really is good. I think I'd be so excited to see him paired with Herbert. The other thing you do worry about is the kind of injury cloud, which is he hasn't tested at the combine because he's recovering from 2 small fractures in his back. And he played through the season with this, but it kept him sidelined in the Rose Bowl against Penn State. And at 2 other times in his career, he's had shoulder issues and a thoracic injury. So, 23 and a half, 2 years of production, bit injury prone, maybe not the best blocker in the world. There's a reason why, every tight end in this class has a risk profile to them. But I'm going to end with the positives. He would be such a weapon to pair with Herbert over the middle of the field, and he can attack deep as well. So he'd get the TDU tick from me as well. Dalton Kincaid.
Yep, I see the pros and cons. I don't see necessarily the value in tight end at 121. So my TDU tick is going to the second round. If he gets to it, Hawkeye Sam Laporta.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's good.
Comes from the tight end factory. In Iowa, they've produced George Kittle, TJ Hawkinson, Noah Fant of recent years. He's 6'4", 249 pounds. He's not the biggest, but he's quick. He's really quick. Sub 4.6 speed. He gets off the line quickly. He could really grow into a yards after catch monster. He has 30 broken tackles in the last 2 years. He is a willing blocker, but he does need some refinement. I think they said he was not what you'd expect from an Iowa tight end, whatever that means. Ultimately, I think he'd fit in with Justin Herbert beautifully. Primed for seams, overs, crosses, and flat routes. Yeah, second
I'll
round
add to that
pick
because
as well.
he was my favorite man. He's my I love you man. He might be my favorite dude. He played wide receiver in high school, and frankly, it shows. He does all that. He's not like the other Iowa guys because he's undersized. He's kind of 245 pounds, not going to hold up so much in the running game. At Iowa, they base their entire offense around this guy. They're getting the ball to him on rollout screens, boots. And anyone out there, if you can get your hands on the 2022 tape against Illinois, that defense has a couple of guys who are going to get drafted. Sidney Brown, Jatavius Martin, Devon Witherspoon, and he just tears them to shreds, rolling his way through a defense that has multiple NFL players. Big tick for me for Sam Laporta in the later rounds. I reckon, God, it's toss of the coin if he's available when the Chargers draft in the second round. I kind of have this feeling he's going to go somewhere picks 35 to 45, but
I agree.
you never
I think
know.
the talent with Laporta is not going to last until our pick in the second round. I'll go with the TDU question mark then. And again, I'm not saying that these players are bad or are not talented or they won't be. I'm not saying they're busts. But for me, if I was the Chargers right now, even picking in the second and third round, I'd be really worried about Darnell Washington. See,
Hot take.
He is that hot though because he's got these
Yeah,
incredible...
people want him to at 21. People love this guy.
I just look at him and I watched his combine and I watched some of his tape. The guy is a physical specimen. He's insane. I can't remember. He's kind of, is he? Yeah. Listen, okay, you made me second guess myself. Fuck you. I don't like that. But yeah, no, I think the tight end position is tough. I don't think he's necessarily plug and play like a Mayer, a Laporta, or a Kincaid. And I think he would benefit from learning from a veteran, but we don't have a veteran in the room. We don't have a guy. I don't know how good Gerald Everett is. We don't have someone experienced to teach him. So I'd be 50-50 over and have a big question mark over Darnell Washington, even though he's got the fucking physical abilities of a Greek god. He might take
He's
some
like
time.
Michael Clark Jordan, rest in peace.
Yeah, he is. Well, Jack, don't feel so bad because he's also my TDU question mark.
Oh,
and
good. Fuck you then. Why'd you make me second guess myself?
What did I even say? I can't remember now. What I will say is I like slightly differently to you at the start, Jack. I've got this feeling that Kellen Moore likes the traditional wide tight ends quite a bit. If you want to marry the pass and running game and make it look the same, and if you look at Dalton Schultz and Blake Jarwin and these guys, it might suit more of an inline guy, but I totally hear what you're saying, that Herbert needs a weapon. Darnell Washington, why I'm rooting for him is because the guy growing up in Las Vegas, his family was on the move every 4 months, sometimes homeless due to financial hardship. He spent 3 years in a foster home, and then suddenly he develops into this 6'7", 264-pound tight end. He was a footballer, a basketballer, a shot put champion. So he got offers from 40 different colleges to go to them. He picks Georgia. Why I'm worried about him is because I look for someone at 6'7" to succeed at the NFL level, and if that's going to be worth the first round pick. And I just think, who's the comp here? Is he going to be Martellus Bennett or Mercedes Lewis? Like Jimmy Graham would be the great hope, right? He was 6'7", but he had a vertical jump of 38.5 inches, 95th percentile. That's right. Darnell Washington came dead last for the vertical jump at the combine. So he's kind of stiff and wooden in his movements. So I just wonder, if you spend a first round pick or early second round pick on this guy, I mean, he's never had more than, so he had 800 yards receiving across his entire college career, 3 years. Yeah. So is this guy ever going to be an 800 yard per season receiver in the NFL? If not, I question the value in the first or early in the second.
Yeah, I see your points there. Yeah, he was playing behind, was it Brock Bowers at Georgia? Yeah.
I'm sure we'll be talking about him next year.
Yeah, that's it. My TDU question mark is for kind of the middle rounds. The Chargers met with him virtually, but it's Zach Kuntz from Old Dominion. This one might be a bit polarizing. But he attended Penn State as a 4-star recruit, but he couldn't really see the field in 3 years, so he transferred over to the Monarchs. He's an athletic freak, all-time testing records for tight ends. but a relatively slender frame, 6'7", 255. He gets outbodied at the catch point, and I see him as a real boom or bust. Massively high ceiling potential, don't get me wrong, with those measurables, like he could be incredible. But Jack, like you said, with Darnell Washington, I see Zach Kuntz as a developmental guy and not in the mould for the Chargers, so I wouldn't want us to go a second round, if the run on gets hot, waste a third round pick on a guy that has no one to work behind, really.
Nice.
Well, speaking of wide tight ends, Alice, that was very serendipitous. I think my I love you, man, and I think I'm hoping, because Laporta was in here for me, but I'm going, is Laporta going to make it to the third round? Is he? And I didn't think he was, but I think this guy might be there in the second or the third, which is Luke Schoonmaker from Michigan. 2-year starter, played under Jim Harbaugh there in the power spread offense. Traditional wide tight end, lining up in the inline, wing, and occasionally in the slot. He was a quarterback in high school, left-handed, like me, so hence I love you, man, and became a starter as a junior. I think he does everything well. He doesn't do anything amazingly. He's solid. He's a workhorse.
Solid
He's
as.
your Dalton Schultz type. Not going to, break games open, but will be that guy if you need him to catch, to block, to be that sort of solid number 2, maybe a low-end number 1 tight end in the NFL. So, Schoonmaker.
More coming up on him later. My I love you, man, is a very undersized tight end from Miami called Will Mallory. And he is your flex tight end, so really playing in the slot as a big slot guy. 6'4", 239 pounds, so light as anything. Little boy, but super, super duper fast. So his 40 time is first amongst tight ends at the combine, 4.54. And he flashes the ability to get behind linebackers all the way to the third level. And again, listeners, there's a game against the North Carolina Tar Heels that I was watching that. I just could not believe 2 of the receptions he had in that game. Very exciting. I'll post it in the comments on the YouTube channel. Again, high school wide receiver. His dad, 7-year special teams coordinator for Jacksonville. And last year he coached with the Broncos. So he's grown up around football. He spent a lot of time around guys like Jeremy Shockey. And I do think in the later rounds 5, 6, or 7, if you just want to have a dart throw on a guy who's probably undersized to do much blocking at the NFL level, and you just want a straight up receiver to have it through the passing game, I really like Will Mallory from the University of Miami. You
got a Telesco favourite for this one, Jack?
I do, and dare I say it? I might say it. I think the initials would be M. NDM. Michael Notre Dame Mayer. I think Telesco would love to draft a Fighting Irishman in the first round. And you know what? I do think he's that, again, he's a wide tight end. But I still think he'll be as impactful, I should say, as Kincaid in a good scheme. Mayer's a great player too. And the connection is very strong, as we know, with Notre Dame, Fighting Irish, and Big Tommy tickets. So that was my Telesco favourite.
And to be fair, I'd kind of like him too if the Chargers... Sorry, Andy, you go. But I'd be happy enough to see him get drafted, trade down. I'd understand it.
He's a bit of a less sexy Kincaid, but he can block a bit more. My Telesco favourite, and it's more of a Staley favourite, he's shot up since the Senior Bowl, is Luke Musgrave from Oregon State. 6'6", 255, sub 4.6 speed, run blocks willingly. He's got a football family, Uncle Bill was a coach and father was QB at the University of Oregon. He's just risen up, and I think he could be one of those sort of second or third round guys if he gets to us.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, I agree. He could be in picture. And another guy in the white tight end mold, I think Tucker Kraft from South Dakota State is a guy who's been flying up draft boards. Again, you've got to look at this lower level of competition in the FCS.
Yeah.
You're like South Dakota State, But Jack, you're like this guy. He's an early childhood major and plans to be a school superintendent and coach after his playing days.
I did see that.
To make an impact with children. So I liked Tucker Kraft. He can do a bit of everything.
He's met with the Chargers as well, I believe.
Yeah, and what he does bring is he broke 25 tackles on 102 catches. So he rumbles 6'5", 254. So at that bigger frame, where if you're looking for a dual blocking and receiving weapon, Tucker Kraft would be a pretty safe selection, I think.
Nice. Go to a sleeper.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing that picked, I think Braden Willis out of Oklahoma. I like him. I looked at a small, very small bit of his tape. Not going to be a receiving threat in the pros. Probably maybe a UDFA or a 6th or 7th round. He loves blocking. He has a healthy appetite for it. He can line up maybe as that H backfield inline or slot, but I think he'll be a solid contributor on a special team. So Trey McKitty, I'd much rather have someone like a Braden Willis over someone like McKitty. So yeah, Willis, I liked him. Oklahoma boy.
Cool. My TDU sleeper, Brenton Strange from Penn State. 6'4",
nice.
253, projected 5th or 6th round. He's a natural athlete. Could be a developmental piece to grow behind. I know that's probably not ideal for where we're at the moment. But if the cards don't fall that way earlier in the draft, he's a hard-nosed player. He won't back down. The want and will to block is there. It's just the execution. So hopefully working with the O-line could aid that and fast track it a little bit more. So he's doing a little bit more Y stuff.
Yep. That's one I could get around. And like Jack said earlier, Luke Schoonmaker from Michigan is really quite high for me. I'd like him as early because he just showed this good feel for the soft spots in zones. I had quite a good look at him and everything he did. They ran in a pro-style offense, big friendly target for the quarterback, and natural hands catcher, which I think is super important. Lacking a bit in play strength, but, another high school basketballer.
Is he a sleeper, though? If he's sort of been projected 3rd, 4th round, or not really?
Yeah, I guess I didn't dig into the 6th or 7th, so I'd probably go Zach Kuntz a bit like Andy did. But yeah, you're right. Yeah. So like maybe late day 2, early day 3.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
He's definitely an option.
Cool.
All right. Jack, your territory, the offensive line. Obviously, we have the return of Rashawn Slater. We've got Corey Lindsley in there. Zion Johnson. Jamari Salia has moved over to right guard. Zion's moved over to the left. And hopefully Trey Pipkins can stay healthy in that right tackle role. No more Storm Norton. Happy days. Foster Sorrell has been training with Pipkins, with Slater. They're all working together.
You'll love to see it.
Will Clapp, it's really good to see him. Will Clapp is the sort of the depth piece, backing that all up. Al, how do you see the Chargers' offensive line at the moment, and how do you think the coaches and Telesco will approach the line in the draft?
Well, they're pretty much set, as you said, so you wouldn't expect too much. We've discussed it. If a potential Lindsley replacement is there at the right point of the draft and you've got him high on your board, sure, think about it. I wouldn't like to see a pick spent on the first round particularly early, because what's really the value there? You've just signed Pipkins. You've got 2 rookies first rounders in Slater and Zion. Only real question mark so far is Solia, who's not played a guard before, but is it really worth drafting, or Cyrus Torrance or some kind of early guard prospect? Absolutely not, I would say. So I think we can be pretty quick with this position group generally, because the Chargers are set. Maybe if the right player's there, they'll think about it, but not expecting this to be addressed much, if at all, in the draft.
Very good. Jack, do you want to hit us with your TDU tick?
Yeah, I will. And I did have, I kind of like my little, even though I wasn't assigned this one, just a couple of criteria. I had road graders over outside skaters. I think it's time.
Is that
for
your
us
own? Is that your own copyright?
Actually, yeah,
that's not
it
bad.
Is a little bit.
Not bad.
I think it's time for us to get a little more nasty on the offensive line. So I was looking for guys with size and strength and the willingness to get down and dirty. As you alluded to, Andy, there's a really tight-knit offensive line as well. So I think the message I'll be sending to a draft pick, if we decide to go there is, we've got depth, we've got breadth. You've got to earn your time now. So the offensive line is very much set. You've got to be ready to work, to learn, and be a part of an offensive line group that has pretty tight relationships and works hard and protects the QB. You're not walking in to be the hero. You will come in and you will have to earn your time. I love this guy, and he's my favourite offensive line draft prospect. And to tick, I was going to go, I love you, man, but I put him as my tick. That is big Steve Avila.
Oh, wow.
I love him. I really do. 3-year starter at TCU, started all 15 games as a left guard. And he was in, I think Garrett Riley was the coach, very much an RPO-based offense, which I think is great. Played left tackle in high school, and he played every offensive line position except left tackle at TCU. I love him. He's got a huge, big, powerful, wide-based, and I think the terms here from the draft, the big bear or whatever it's called, collects a body count with his heavy hands to make early contact in pass protection or drive block in the run game. I'd love him. He's probably going to be picked in the second round. I think he's great at anchor, and he can also play centre if need be. He fits both zone and gap, which I love, and probably is going to be immediate starter. So we're probably not going to pick him, but I love him. TDU tick for Steve Avila.
Yeah, awesome. I liked him as well a lot. So I'm giving no TDU ticks from the first round. If we managed to come up with additional day 2 pick through a trade, I'm only really looking at guys who have dual position flexibility and can come in if there's an injury somewhere on the line and maybe can pose as a future Lindsley replacement. One guy's John Michael Schmitz from Minnesota, this longtime centre there. He kind of just does everything right, and I have quite a lot of faith that in due course he'll become an above-average NFL starter from the centre spot. But he's also big enough at over 300 pounds in his squat that I think he could spend a bit of time at guard as well. I don't expect him to be there, though, because he could end up bottom of the first. The one that everyone will be excited and talking about, though, is Cody Mork from North Dakota State. I'm sure he was going to come up later, but this guy, Mork's 2 front teeth are missing. Let's get that out of the way. They were knocked out.
Is it only 2? Because it looks like 6.
Oh, could be many. So at least...
Like he's slipped a hockey puck in there or something.
Well, he lost them during a junior high school basketball game. And he's got this red shoulder-length hair. He was raised on his family's 5,500-acre, 4th-generation farm just outside Mantador in southeast North Dakota. He grew up baling hay and helping grow corn, soybeans, and sugar beets. So if this guy is not like the perfect offensive lineman, I just could not think of a better background growing up. And for a guy who is kind of doesn't look the part, he actually had very impressive athleticism in the 3-cone drill, 20-yard shuttle. He entered North Dakota State as a 221-pound tight end. And then he kind of put on, I think it was something like, he's put on 80 pounds.
Ate a lot of beets, apparently. A lot of sugar in them beats. Yeah.
And that's why he's lost the additional teeth as well. But I think at the NFL level, because of his frame and his short arms, I kind of feel like he might struggle to play tackle where he played at North Dakota State. I actually think this guy could be a good centre one day. And at the Senior Bowl, he took snaps at guard, he took snaps at centre. So a loose I love you, I'll make him my I love you man as well, and a loose tick for Cody Mork.
Interesting.
Yeah, nice. I do have him later on in my list. I don't have a TDU tick for an O-line selection in the first or second round, and I agree with you, Al. If somehow we can manufacture an additional third round, Joe Tipman is my guy, the center from Wisconsin. He's a really fun, athletic lineman to watch. Huge hands at 10 3/4 inches. He'd be a tall replacement. He's 6'6", so you do have like the leverage concerns with that.
Yeah.
But look, maybe a flyer could be taken on this hard hitter. Could be good fun.
Yeah, I didn't have a question mark. I mean, I guess we could talk about Alistair, did you have a question mark or Andy?
Just on the strategy, like I wouldn't see the point of taking any kind of tackle only project a la Pipkins. And there's a guy from BIU called Blake Freeland who kind of fits that bill.
I agree with
So
that.
like tall, lanky, skinny guys who need to put on NFL weight, don't want a part of them. Not interested in that draft.
But
So
just
that would be
just,
my
just
question
really
mark.
quickly, what was your read on Skoronski? Because the same criticisms of him were almost eerily similar to Slater, the arm size to play tackle.
Yeah.
Do you think he projects more as a guard and then a tackle? But I mean,
Yeah.
his tape is very strong, and PFF are very high on him, and so are a lot of people. But there is this question, like, what's your take on that?
I'd let him fail at tackle first, and then he could be a Pro Bowl guard. I've got him actually in my next category as the I love you man. But I mean, if you talk about football bloodlines, this guy's granddad, Bob Skoronski, he played offensive tackle for 8 years for Vince Lombardi and the Packers, winning 5 NFL championships and all that. The guy's just
Great name too. Yeah.
Polish background, the old Skoronski, and I reckon he could play any spot on the line. A technician of the class, like him a lot.
Yeah. I was probably, pretty picky. I kind of went looking for someone I didn't like. And I landed on Jordan McFadden, the tackle guard
Clemson.
from Clemson.
Yeah.
6'2", played predominantly at tackle. He's kind of projects more to the interior. He plays with really wide hands and he reaches a lot for his blocks. I saw him sort of chasing, and if you do that on the inside, you're going to get exposed. He's going to expose his pads, get hit a lot more. Average arms and below average hands could be leveraged quite easily. Projected to the fourth, this could... to me, it had mid-round Tom Telesco stinker all over it. So he was my question mark.
Oh, it's to sort of tie in with your beat-eating, tooth-missing, perhaps maybe centre one day. What's his name? Cody Maud. I love you, man, is very dear to my heart. I saw this guy's draft profile and went, this guy deserves someone to say his name on some podcast somewhere. And that's Chandler Zavala.
Yeah,
out
he's
of
very
NC
popular.
State. Yeah, I think, he only weighed 250 pounds as an offensive freshman. He's coming in at 316.
Yeah.
He received interest from Division 1 programs as a walk-on, but all his scholarships came at Division 2 level. His father, Demetriou, who had emergency surgery in December to have his appendix and intestine repaired after a rupture, is an executive chef and has opened 6 restaurants. Demetriou has also made numerous appearances on Food Network, including Guy, I assume it's Fieri, Grocery Games, and twice winning Chopped. Chandler's sister serves in the US Army and served in Korea, and he's also earned his
In the
master's
50s.
degree in adult and community college education. So he's a burgeoning teacher after his maybe career in the NFL. So Chandler Zavala, I love you, man. I love your story. You've got NFL size. You've got your strength. You've got the movement to grow into a starting role, and he's got that attitude. He's a workhorse. He's a mauler, and he's got great alertness too. So I hope he does really well. It'd be amazing if we took him. But Chandler Zavala, I love you, man.
Yeah, me too. And I might let Andy compose himself for a second there. My I love you man, other than Skoronski, is Darnell Wright, the first round prospect from Tennessee.
Yeah, he's good.
He's just a lot of fun. He's one of the only guys who held his own against Will Anderson, who's going to go in the top 5 picks. I tend to like tackles who are better pass protectors than run blockers, or at least, really excel as pass protectors. And he has that. He's got vice-like hands. He's just, when he puts his hand on you, a bit like Sawyer, you just know that you're not going anywhere, and he's won the rep. Give up. Game over. 5-star recruit in high school. 4-year starter in the SEC. So he's seen the best pass rushes year in, year out, and only allowed something like, eight pressures for the year and 0 sacks. Chef kiss. I think someone will take him somewhere, rounds pick 15 to 25, and he could end up outperforming some of these younger guys who are going to go slightly ahead of him because they're more athletic.
Cool. My I love you man is Cody Mark. I find the story just awesome. And I guess the point I've got against his lack of size is he's quick. So even though he's got smaller arms and stuff, he's just faster than them at the break, and can get into their pads quickly in the run game. He's a dog, and I think he'd bode really well, him sitting behind Corey Linsley.
And farm strength is very different to gym
Oh,
strength
yeah.
as well. It's that actual
Pig fighting and stuff like that.
pig fighting, beet eating, hay
Grabbing
baling,
a barrel
son
and
of a
going.
gun. Yeah, I just think of him. He looks like a wrestling villain. You hear JR going, "Oh, he's a son of a bitch. He's an absolute son of a bitch." He's kind of one of those, which is great. I didn't have a Telesco favourite, but I might go into my TDU sleeper, and then you guys can finish it off. I've gone with Andrew Voorhees from
Oh,
USC.
he was mine too.
Was he? Yeah, because he's obviously coming off an ACL injury, so I think his stock will drop. But he's a 5-year starter, played left guard under Lincoln Riley in his spread scheme there. He played with Sam Darnold as well, starting at right guard there. So again, looking at this versatility, he is a little bit top heavy. And I think he'll probably take some time to get up to speed with NFL pass rushers. But the draft profile says in him, and I watched him, blue collar, physical competitor, and he's got toughness. And I think he's going to have a chip on his shoulder from that ACL injury. So I'd love to see him in the later rounds.
Mate,
Jason's brother. So there we go.
Shocking lid. Shocking lid on him.
Yeah.
Shockingly. This sick fuck. And it's fair to say that he might have gone in the first round. This poor guy tears his ACL at the combine. And then he comes out the next day and bench presses 38 reps.
Unbelievable.
And
He's a
finishes
man.
first with a torn ACL. And that was it. That's all he did at the combine. And now he's probably going to have to redshirt his rookie year. But that's going to be, hopefully, if he can recover, that should be a steal because he was a second round caliber player. And some team will get him in the 4th or the 5th, I reckon.
Yeah, poor guy.
Do you want to jump in with any, Andy? Sleepers or favourites?
Oh, look, my Telesco favourites are pretty generic. I was just kind of, after hitting on Slater, no doubt Scoro would be real high on Tommy T's board, even though I don't think they'll go near lineman early. And Osiris Torrance, he's just a massive guy.
Yeah, he's huge.
So much fun. Massive.
Incredible measurables. He's dominant in the run game. Back-to-back 88 PFF grade years. Plug-and-play guard. But not the position of need, Tommy.
You better run a lot of power, though, with that bloke, because he ain't getting to the second level much. Maybe to finish it off, mate, maybe we'll just say this is not really any category, but the Chargers have spent quite a bit of time with 3 offensive linemen. The first is Juice Scruggs, the centre from Penn State. And they've now met with him multiple times. He's kind of your team captain, block of granite type of dude. Maybe a bit limited athletically. Shrine Bowl standout, bit of position versatility. He's played a few different spots. So rounds 5 and later, he's one guy to look at. There are some medical issues with him. He was actually thrown from a car through the window and suffered a break of his L3 vertebra. Instead of career-threatening surgery, he opted to allow the injury to heal on its own and required a back brace for a year as he slowly rehabbed. So teams need to get comfortable with that, which is why he's going to be drafted very late in the draft. And then a bit quicker, did you want to say something there?
Oh, I was just going to say, Jalen Carter wasn't driving the car, was he?
Oh my God. he's just saved his best for 2 minutes left in the show. He's just gone. We almost might just end it at that, mate. There are 2 other guys. Trevor Reed from Louisville, another Reed, Jack. And McClendon Curtis from Chattanooga, who's a 6-year guy, played with Cole Strange. I think what Jack would like about this guy is, firstly, he's had multiple meetings with the Chargers, and he actually said, hey, when I saw their scouts in Mobile, it was like we were catching up. So they know him really well. He's 6'6", 324 pounds, 35-inch arms, a real guard prospect. He's known for his strong personal character. He almost decided to quit football because his high school coach was giving him a really rough time. And he kind of decided to get over that and stick to it. But he's also earned a 4.0 GPA over the last 3 years and was appointed to the NCAA Division I Oversight Committee in September 2021. So if you like your cerebral late round pick who's like going to be high character, I think McClendon Curtis from Chattanooga is a name to look out for. And that'll do.
Cool. Are they your sleepers included?
Yeah, sleeper was Voorhees, mate. Jason.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You jumped on Jack's one. My TDU sleeper, sort of developmental tackle flex is... Sorry, a sleeper pick or a late round developmental tackle flex is the sort of ideal drafting scenario for me, for the Chargers. And if it comes to it, Braden Daniels is one from the Utah Utes. He's a tad undersized, 6'4", 294, to play on probably too small to play on the outside. But he's spent a lot of time across the different spots on the line. He's explosive, 4.99 speed, not too bad at later down, just for a little bit of insurance to cover.
Just reflect to think that we're humans who say bit undersized, 6'4", 294.
Oh yeah.
Isn't it just ridiculous how comfortably we say, bit undersized, 295, 6'4"?
Yeah,
Hey, I can probably say
someone
that
who could fit in a
because,
matchbox.
that's undersized for me, so that's all right.
That is you, isn't it? Close to it.
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't want to get into my intangibles I'm lifting at the gym at the moment, but yeah, I'd say it's slightly undersized for me. There we go.
Yeah, you're not quite 6'4" though.
I am actually. I'm 196.
Oh, there you go.
Stop it. Stop it. Where's the challenge flag?
That's cracking shit. Oh, well, on that note, that's probably it for our offensive prospect charting. It's been really fun. We love doing these shows. It has run a little bit longer than we thought, but hey, we had fun doing it. We hope you guys had fun too. We'd love to hear what you agree with or disagree with. And be sure to join us next time for the defensive position groups. And, of course, Al's first round mock draft. Until then, guys, we'll see you next time on Thunder Down Under Chargers podcast.
See you later.
Rivers backpedals, looking, firing. He's got Floyd turning. Got it! Zigzag, 10, 5, high step, touchdown! San Diego!
Woo! Good night! Good night to all!